Batman 89. No,
Yeah.
not to be confused with the Tim Burton movie. This is written by James Tynion IV with art, thankfully, but not by Gilliam March, although it does the little 2-page backup at the end. That's fine, whatever. I'll accept that. But Carlo Pugolane on the main art. He was the guy who was on the Deathstroke book with Priest for a long time. This is just continuing the story. You know, we've got the fake Joker in the grave, which Harley points out it's not really him, and Catwoman was pretty sure of it, you know.
I love
just
how
like
she's
the rest of us.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor guy. He really fell in with the wrong crowd, and I didn't do anything to help him, but I feel bad for him. Like, I love that version of Harley, which I don't like that Cedric has made me kind of a Harley fan, because now I'm more open to it, and it's driving me nuts. So, I like Tynion's Harley here.
Now, I have heard the critique with Harley just in general for the last few years, and it kind of it came to my mind as I was reading this, because we're still kind of doing it. Is how there's really only one Harley story that they've really been doing for a long time, and that's that she's over the Joker and she's trying to be her own person, and it's kind of just been that for a while. Right, everything's kind of boiled down to that.
Well, because I mean that she was created on the show to have a female antagonist, right? So that's modeled after Joker.
I don't really think that's a fair critique.
No, because that's not what the Connor and Palmiotti is about, right?
No,
I mean
initially, starts, the first handful of issues, sure, is that sets up why she's off on her own, living in New Jersey or wherever it was.
Right.
But then it became, no, these are her adventures living there, and that's what it was
about.
I've
not read most of this stuff, so I can't necessarily say how accurate that is.
No, but I get it, because what hits the public consciousness is, not everybody is going to read the Connor and Palmiotti, but more people are probably going to read Batman, where now they're seeing this, but then you look at White Knight, and that's not that,
No, but I mean, even that Harley and Ivy mini we just had isn't about her getting away from the Joker in any sense. It's just
about her trying to be a good guy.
Yeah, it's about her trying to be better, sure. Which I mean, yes, is a post-Joker reaction, but not in a directly caused by that. And it's more, her trying to be a good friend to and bring Ivy back to who she was.
Right. So I do like that Tynion is setting up the difference between Harley and Punchline now.
Yeah, Punchline seems more like an operative, where she's out doing stuff and she's been all covert about it. Like, it doesn't feel like Harley at all. It feels
I think I get where Matt's coming from, though. In setting up, okay, this is what Harley was, and reminding us, okay, this is her past with the Joker, and she was kind of what Punchline is now, so that when we see Punchline properly, the difference will be really clear.
Yep.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's fine. I wasn't complaining that we're kind of still doing Harley getting over the Joker or moving on from the Joker stuff in this particular context. But now that it's in my mind, it's something that I'm going to be actively thinking about every time she shows up now. Like, are we still doing that with her? Is she doing something else? Is she doing something different?
It is a fair thing, but I also think that you're fully in control of that narrative, right? Like, you could not think about that, Pete. It's like meditation.
No, I don't think that's a fair thing. If it's something I'm feeling because that's what they keep doing, which I'm not yet, admittedly. I'm saying that I've seen this observation and it stuck out to me when I was reading this issue. I'm not saying that I'll necessarily feel that myself, but if it's something that does stick out to me, I can't just ignore it. It'll be something that bothers me because I'll feel it's a lack of creative, ideas. I'm not there yet, but it's something that
I will say, though, that I do like that the vibe of the villain story in this, of they all got together and had this job, and now someone's coming back to clear them all out, is such a pulp detective story.
Oh, sure.
Thing, right?
I really like the opening. It's just that the doctors in the hospital just kind of complaining that Gotham's kind of a shithole and how scary it is, and Bruce Wayne's trying to rebuild half the city. One guy's against it, the other woman's not. Is kind of for it.
Yeah.
And Penguin comes stumbling in, bleeding from his stab wounds, and sort of threatens the doctor to make sure he's healed. Pay him $100,000 if he keeps him alive through the night, and call this number. I thought this issue, maybe it's because the art's much better, because it is. That's what first and foremost.
This issue was a joy to read, because I wasn't struck. Like, again, I feel sometimes we beat up on March too much because it's just not our thing.
And then you get to that last page and you go, oh, that's why.
Thank you. Because then seeing it up against Pagulayan, if I'm even saying it right, I got to look at it when I say
Pagulayan?
Pagulayan. and then compared to March, and you're like, yeah, no, this is a steep drop off.
Well, what I was trying to say though is that this issue kind of starts off with such a great momentum, because you have this scene in the hospital which starts off calm for a page, then Penguin comes rambling in, and we're kind of reminded of where we were in the story last issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then we immediately go to a motorbike, sort of, not even a chase, like Batman's like attached to the motorbike with a grapple gun and is skidding along the ground, and it's, it's over the top action scene, and it sort of gives you a sense of just how much chaos is going on in the city during this one night. And Batman's like, this isn't working, this guy, whoever's behind all these assassins is ahead of us, and this is supposed to distract us. So he takes down Gunsmith, and we get a little bit of backstory as to why this guy's called Gunsmith.
I like that. And I love the shot at his type of characters. He never actually served in the military, but he loves to, project like he did. And that he was able to piece together a gun. Like, he's still good at what he does, but he's not exactly.
He's not trained in the way he pretends to.
No.
Yeah.
And then the Tooth guy, his story, that is the stuff of nightmares.
Mr. Teeth.
Mr. Teeth. I was trying to remember what his original nickname was, where they were finding bodies with the teeth removed and sewn into the stomach.
Yeah, they called him the Tooth Eater.
Tooth Eater, yeah.
The Tooth Eater. Ugh.
Yeah.
Gross.
So yeah, that's another one that we get to later. We have some of Harley and Catwoman sort of catching up after fighting. I do like the panel where Harley blocks an arrow that's about to hit Catwoman's head. She puts the handle of her mallet right in front, and it's Merlin and do you know what? This was actually kind of a funny moment. I laughed out loud at Shiva yelling at Merlin for monologuing. It's like, come on, just kill him already! Like,
right. Which that reminded me of sounds almost like one of your complaints on Arrow, where there was always the monologue.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like Tynion was very much making fun of that.
Yeah. But it felt true to Shiva, just to be really impatient and just like, come on, just get this done with.
Shiva's another one that I like when they kind of play up her more heroic side. Like we're getting a Batman The Outsiders, right? Where not heroic, but she does have a conscience. She's one of the greatest killers in the
it's
DC universe.
Kind of similar to Deathstroke in that if you pay him to do a job for the good guys, he'll have no qualms in doing that.
Right. And so I like that with Shiva's like, we're just doing a job. You're making it more difficult with your showboating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I will say, it didn't click to me that this person at the bottom was Punchline until the end of the issue when we get like another call. Or the call with I was like, who's this with the binoculars? What's going on? Because it's very intentionally very kind of unrevealing. It's just you see like a bit of a head and just a hand and all the rest of it. And I've not studied like Punchline's like designs that have come out to know that this is her.
Man, people have already gotten Punchline tattoos.
What?
Based off of promo art. Yeah.
That's a bit much. Like I've seen like cosplay has been done already, and like sure, go for it. Why not? It's because
but tattoos are pretty.
That as a design.
Yeah, tattoos are pretty.
However, it was on Reddit and it could have been faked. So let me caveat that.
Yeah, it could have been fake. But
it was made to look like someone got a Punchline tattoo.
Mr. Tooth with his pliers. But proper horror movie stuff here. I think Tynion's definitely going for it. Yeah, I'm liking the banter more and more between Batman and Lucius. My
problem was when he called him Mr. Wayne over the comms.
That's fair. But what I did like though is that when he gets to the recording of Riddler in this mystery character, who we later find out from Harley's called Design, or Catwoman I think says he's called Design. Yeah, the designer, is that he mentions that he notices that Riddler's giving him these like hand signs behind his back, and it's this this particular type of sign, and Lucius is like, wait a minute, you've got something in the quill that helped you do that. There's no way you just figured that out. And I kind of like the imagery that's conjured here when Batman says that, when he was patrolling before, Alfred would like sort of like kind of like teach him this stuff and like help him practice. Just when he's out, he's out in the rooftop.
When he was on stakeout.
Yeah, he's waiting for things to happen. He will sit with Alfred over the. I love the idea of like Alfred like almost like giving him like a practice test for like an exam. Over the comms.
Yeah. He is his mentor, like for all intents and purposes. Batman only exists because of Alfred.
Yeah.
So
we have the bat spawn, the drones that get sent out, which Deathstroke's not impressed with. We end the issue with well, not apart from the last two pages. I'll get to that in a minute. But Harley and Ivy show up with Chester and what do you call him? Merlin knocked out. And they're like, okay, we need to talk. Catwoman's like, yeah, we need to talk about the designer and something we already did. So her final word is, I'm sorry, because she knows what she's about to tell him is going to break his heart. Harley is just kind of being the third wheel and She's like, yeah, there's a whole Joker thing coming, by the way, that's separate to all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So that's the final page is just the Gillen March page where Punchline's on the phone to Joker saying, hey, they saw the grave, but there's something else distracting them all right now. They're not paying attention to you. And he's like, oh, that's fine. There's a few other things to do still. But notably on his board behind Joker...
It's not that there's other things to do, it's there are a few other people he needs to talk to first, which I think is relevant.
I was just paraphrasing.
I know, but I think that's relevant given what the board is.
All right. So, yeah, on the board, though, he has... Nightwing, the Robins, Batgirl, all there. But notably, though, he has all the real names and photos of the real people. So he knows that Nightwing is Dick Grayson. He knows that Red Robin's Tim. He knows that Jason's Red Hood. Blah blah blah. He knows who all these people are. So if we're speculating if he knows definitively that Bruce Wayne is Batman, I feel like he probably does now with this information.
I feel like if you've got all that information already, it's kind of impossible not to know.
Well, it also, don't forget, Tynion came from Snyder, right? Like, that's his mentor. And that was the main story of the death of the family, was that Joker knew but didn't care. So now what happens when he does care?
That was actually also a thing as well in the final arc of Snyder's stuff. When Bruce had no memories, and it was about this, that it didn't matter who he was, and the same for Joker there.
Yeah, I will say I don't know how much I like Joker using this stuff, because I do like the idea that he just doesn't care. Like, it doesn't matter who he is under the mask. Because
I think it's interesting though, in coming in the wake of Superman unmasking himself. He's like, it's more he wants to one up Superman, right?
If he's inspired by Superman revealing who he is, then I'll give it points for letting that stuff sort of.
We already had that. That was in the very first epilogue stuff we got.
Right.
Was in the one that was, I think, in Batman 85. That was a henchman looking at the news and being like, hey, look, this is just happening, and Joker was like, oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. So we'll see how this goes. I kind of like the Joker, and this is something I actually love about The Dark Knight, the movie, is that Joker isn't really a part of the main plot, but he forces his way into it. There's a whole plot going on with Batman tracking down, these money, the money smuggling, and all the mob and all their money. Right here, we have this plot with a designer who's this big bad, who's got all these assassins, and Joker is kind of just on the background just now, but you kind of get the feeling that he's eventually going to force his way in and become the focus, because he's the goddamn Joker, and he's not going to let Batman waste his time on some other B plot by his viewpoint.
It would be really interesting, because obviously we know this is coming into Joker War. It would be really interesting if that kind of forces the end of this arc unnaturally, like the story doesn't actually finish, and it's just Joker interrupts it.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of genius when you think about it.
Yeah, I that's what I love about Dark Knight. I love that Joker forces his way into the. He's not supposed to be the main plot of that movie, but he makes sure that he is. Batman, what we rating? I honestly, because we've had this is what, the third issue of his Batman, fourth maybe. I think this might be my favourite of his issues yet. It felt the most streamlined to me. It moved forward the main villain plot, also the Joker stuff. I like how it's including Catwoman and Ivy, also keeping Catwoman and Batman's relationship be a thing, but also have all these other players be involved. I think it's juggling things the best so far out of all the issues, plus the art's back to being good for most of the issues, so that's also a big plus. Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give this a 8.
Cool, Connor?
I'm a little bit lower. I actually preferred the first issue of this run over this one. I think this is better than the last one for sure. For me, I still think it's a little disjointed, just a little clunky in places here or there. But overall, it's still pretty good. So I'm going to give it a 7.
I'm going to agree with Matt and go with the 8.